It begins, guys. New York City is collapsing. The trucker boycott is exploding.
What's going on in New York?
Still not going to New York City.
So New York City prosecutors request Trump gag order ahead of the hush money trial. Donald Trump is appealing the $454 million judgment in New York's civil fraud case as $112,000 per day in interest accrues. Now, this after truckers across the United States are boycotting New York City.
If he does not have funds to pay off the judgment, then we will seek, judgment enforcement mechanisms in court, and we will ask the judge to seize his assets.
By the way, before we get any further into this, all I ask is that you guys just take 1 second, drop a quick like for the video. I totally appreciate you guys. And I just want to thank you so much for always sharing these videos. You guys have no idea how much it helps out the channel. So thank you guys so much. So Donald Trump has launched an appeal against a $454 million civil fraud judgment in New York just minutes ago, challenging the findings of Judge Arthur Engoron, who determined that Trump misrepresented his wealth while building his real estate empire. So this judgment, arising from a lawsuit by Attorney General of New York City, Letitia James, threatens to significantly deplete Trump's cash reserves due to the massive penalties imposed on him. The appeal, it was initiated by Trump's legal team just recently, questions whether or not Judge Engoron made legal or factual errors or exceeded his jurisdiction. So Trump's lawyers argue that the trial was marred by these alleged errors, and they're seeking to reverse the verdict of the potential penalties.
The statute has never been used in this way in the history of the state of New York. No comparable statute has been used in this way in the entire country. No case like this has ever been pursued against a leading political opponent of the presidential candidate or anybody for that matter. So we are in unparalleled waters.
Now, initially, we were told that Trump would need to pay the full $454 million up front before being able to appeal. But apparently, Trump has not been required to pay the penalty immediately due to his appeal.
I think it should be appealed. He'll work hard to raise it. I think he can do it. But I don't think this case is about Trump anymore at all. Because you heard the governor of New York come out yesterday and say, look, everybody, don't be scared about doing business in New York, because the only people we prosecute are people like Donald Trump who don't behave well. That didn't go over very well with the investment community because we're all asking each other, who's next? This was a victimless crime. Nobody lost any money. And a judge out of nowhere put on a $355 million penalty. I mean, who's next? So if you think
Kevin,
about
before I don't want to cut you off, but I hear about the so-called victimless crimes, but the laws on the books, falsification of business records in second degree, issuing false financial statements, insurance fraud, conspiracy, and all these different aspects of it, those are actual crimes. I take it your point is that these should not have been prosecuted?
Well, my point is there's never been a case like this in 75 years. Everything you just listed off is done by every real estate developer everywhere on earth in every city. This has never, ever been prosecuted. But here's the real point that people in New York should concern themselves with. You can put your money anywhere. I'm a real estate developer. Do you think there's a chance I would ever take a chance on New York again? New York is turning itself into a flyover state. I have to build data centers now. I'm not going to go to New York. New York has power. It's got fiber optics. It's got Niagara Falls. But no, we're not even thinking about it. We're going to places that have the exact same thing, where we have rational governors that have never done this to investors. This is about New York and its people. If I were in New York today and I was living there, I would ask myself, maybe we should hire better management. Why is this happening to us? Why are we becoming a flyover state? Why are investors
Kevin,
concerned about putting their money there?
But shouldn't you ask that? Wouldn't those people also be saying, well, first of all, I do wonder how many people take issue with the idea that every investor is engaged in falsifying business records, that every investor is engaged in what has been accused of Donald Trump and the Trump organization, because there's probably a lot who are saying to themselves, I've never falsified my business records. I know what a square foot looks like. I know what I can ask for and what I have the money to support. So I wonder to what extent that really is true.
But He must either secure a legal stay to pause the collection efforts or post a bond covering the amount that is owed to automatically receive a stay. And failure, get this, guys, failure to obtain a stay could result in the enforcement of the judgment, which includes a substantial financial penalty and strict limitations on the Trump's organization's business operations. So the appeal occurs amidst a politically charged environment with Trump actively campaigning for a return to the presidency. The legal battle is likely to extend through the presidential primary season, potentially influencing Trump's campaign. It's getting wild here by the day, guys. So the penalties, they stem from the findings that Trump and his executives, including his sons, engaged in this long-term scheme to inflate Trump's wealth on financial statements. Now, this scheme, according to the court, was used to secure loans and conduct business deals under false pretenses. But the banks were not complaining. Nobody lost any money. In fact, the banks got paid in full, interest included. Now, if the appellate court upholds the ruling, Trump may be forced to relinquish a significant portion of his assets, with the total penalty, including interest, growing daily until the full payment. Now, Trump has maintained that he has significant assets to be able to cover the penalty, but Attorney General Letitia James, has indicated readiness to seize assets if necessary. So this massive legal judgment against Donald Trump in New York, resulting in a nearly $355 million penalty and a 3-year ban from conducting business in the state, it marks a significant moment in the legal challenges facing the former president. In fact, this judgment is not only substantial for its financial implications, but it's also unprecedented in the scope of the restrictions that it's placing on Trump's business operations. So the nearly $355 million penalty, it's considerable. It's a considerable financial burden, no matter who you are and no matter what your net worth is. And its size reflects the severity with which the court viewed the allegations against Trump. So the financial ramifications are compounded by the interest that's going to accrue over time. We're looking at like $112,000 a day, potentially increasing the total amount owed if the judgment is not promptly settled. So this financial strain could definitely impact Trump's liquidity and necessitate the sale of assets or restructuring within his business empire. So the 3-year ban on doing business in New York is particularly impactful given the fact that New York has been central to Trump's business identity and his operations. I mean, the restriction could literally force a realignment of his regions, his business, pushing his business strategy to have to look at other regions or even states less associated with his brands, luxury, and prestige. So this ban, it could also theoretically signal to other jurisdictions and potential business partners that the legal risks associated with Trump's business practices, further isolating him from his business community. Now, the judgment and its circumstances really just kind of underscores the potential for legal and regulatory risks in Trump's business operations. And it highlights the importance of compliance and the consequences of alleged fraudulent activities. But, for the business community at large, this case may serve as a cautionary tale about the legal perils of aggressive and potentially misleading business practices. Now, from a political perspective, this judgment just kind of adds to the array of legal challenges that Trump faces, potentially affecting his political capital and, of course, his ambitions. The size of the penalty and the nature of the allegations, it could influence public perception, possibly eroding support among undecided or moderate voters, while also kind of potentially galvanizing his base or portraying him as a target of political persecution. So, but again, the impact of the presidential campaign, the judgment could severely impact Trump's ability to fund his political campaign. And this is what a lot of people are saying, that this was a deliberate attempt to financially weaken former President Donald Trump so that he cannot even compete in the 2024 presidential election. And by default, kind of put, Nikki Haley as the presidential Republican nominee to go against Joe Biden so that Joe Biden would have a better chance at winning, since many people believe that Biden would not be able to beat Trump. Now, the restrictions on borrowing and the significant financial penalty may limit his campaign's operational capacity, potentially affecting his competitiveness in future elections. Scary thing for Trump, but I think something interesting is about to happen as the legal troubles and the nature of these allegations could influence the public perception of Trump. They may look at him more as a victim here, that the system is taking advantage of him, or at least trying to. Meanwhile, his core base may remain unaffected or even become more supportive of Trump in spite of these challenges that he's facing right now, seeing him as a victim to political persecution. Undecided or maybe even moderate voters might see the legal challenges as disqualifying, impacting his electoral prospects. But others may see him as a victim as well. It really depends on how they look at this. Now, the unprecedented use of the statute in Trump's case, it raises a lot of concerns about the politicization of the justice system. And this perception could become a double-edged sword, rallying support in some quarters, meanwhile alienating other people from, who view such actions as undermining the rule of law and democratic principles. But being barred from doing business in New York, it significantly restricts Trump's operational landscape. Given the control of New York and his business empire, this could necessitate strategic shifts and reallocation of resources to other regions or even industries. And so this is a little bit concerning. So I'm definitely going to keep you guys posted on everything that's going on. If you guys appreciate the videos, definitely drop a like for the video. Consider subscribing to the channel, and I'm going to see you guys on the next one.